How's it going, guys? I'm Fringy and I'm having a debate with Grimpachi about whether or not the Alienware Alpha is a PC or a console. Since you're the challenger, why don't you start off by explaining what your stance is on this?
Well, my stance is that there are, so people who understand there are multiple models of the Alienware Alpha. There is a desktop model, there's the Steam Machine model, there's the gaming PC model, and there's the console model. And I'm obviously referring to the one that is sold to you as a console. And that one is a console. I don't know if you want me to explain that now, why it is.
Well, I think we'll start first by sort of explaining the context of this debate. I made the video where I was responding to somebody who said that PC gamers have no games, and then I listed a whole bunch of games that are on PC, just to sort of drive home that it was a fairly flawed point. And then you made a video where you said that all of those games that I listed were on consoles because I could play them on the Alienware Alpha, which is kind of what
excluding Destiny. Excluding Destiny, because you mentioned Destiny, but I mean that's not on the Alpha. So,
well, what I was saying was I listed games like Civilization 6 and Dota 2, and you said that you could play those on consoles because you could play them on the Alienware Alpha. So.
Yes.
The big issue with that is the proposition that every PC game is a console game because you can play it on the Alienware Alpha.
Yeah.
Something that is not that is a PC. You know what I mean? It's
what is a PC? That you saying the Alpha is?
The Alienware Alpha is a PC for a lot of reasons.
Well, do you know what a personal computer is?
What do you mean? Like a personal computer in the context of what we're talking about is a computer that's running Windows. You know, when we're talking about PCs in the context of gaming, we're talking about something that's running Windows.
No, I'm asking what is the actual meaning? What is the actual definition of a personal computer?
I mean, a personal computer is a computer that you use in like in a personal context. You know, something that you use at home. Though not necessarily. It's your computer that you use for whatever you want to use it for.
Is that your definition or that's the actual definition?
Well, that's what yeah, but I mean, if you're relying on just textbook dictionary definitions, then that's not really very helpful at all because, you know, the dictionary is just a book. It's not like...
Well, I look at it this way, Fringy. You know, if I'm not mistaken, you go to a university, right?
University.
Yes,
yeah,
you go to university, correct?
Yeah.
I go to college, right?
Right.
So if I were to have to do an assignment on gaming, right, and I would have to credit or cite something, I just can't make up my own definition. I mean, I could, but then my professor would say to me, well, where am I getting this information from? If I say I made it up, well, he's not going to like that too much.
Right,
but if I go to
the thing is that whether or not you make it up doesn't have any bearing on how true it is. Like, if the definition makes sense, it's not like, well, you didn't have a source, so now it's not a good definition.
No, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that in a debate or any type of persuasive argument, if I have something besides my own opinion and my own words backing me up, it looks better. Would you agree or not agree?
Yeah, I get that. Look, okay, look, this is the definition on Wikipedia, right? And it's basically, it's the same thing that I said, but with a little bit more detail. A multi-purpose programmable electronic device whose size, capabilities, and price make it feasible for individual use.
Now, I don't know, you're from Australia, correct?
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys do over there, but like, over here, Wikipedia is not considered credible because it could be altered.
Right, but
that's why we don't use Wikipedia.
Do you think that's a good definition or not? I mean, it's like, do you think that's a good enough definition?
Do I think it's a good enough? I would like to use a more credible source.
Like what?
Anybody that can't be easily changed or altered, like a Webster or
yeah, but you know that everything that is a I don't know, a credible source has been written by somebody who's come up with it in some way.
Of course, but somehow they earned the credibility.
Right, but I mean, seriously, are we gonna have a debate on figuring out like the credible source for defining a personal computer, something that most people
No,
understand.
it's no, it's not about that. But I'm gonna tell you my point about this, right? Because for some reason people think I don't have a computer, as if I don't think that really matters. But I play on computers, I play on consoles, I play on everything. I like video games. I don't
Yeah,
really care what I play
I never
on, to be
doubted that
honest with
you
you, right?
whether or not you had a console or a PC or
No,
anything like that.
I'm just saying, like, ever since I brought up this discussion a long time ago, and I've talked to plenty of PC guys, console guys about this, and most people disagree. And after I explain, they end up agreeing. You know, from people like Rags to my people I talk to all the time. And what ends up happening is that people's perception of things, and trust me, I had the same perception as you guys did. When you start to look up the history, you start actually digging deeper, you understand that things sometimes in life are more complicated, correct? But sometimes things are a lot more simpler.
Right.
To understand understand what a video game console is, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I ask you, would you agree that a gaming console is just all these devices, from a gaming console, cell phone, all this is a computer, right?
Well, all like electronics, you know, with an interface are effectively computers. Yeah.
Okay, so we all understand that they're computers. So the PlayStation is a computer. Right. All
okay.
those things.
This is something.
Right?
Wait, I wanna hold on this for a second, because you keep I've seen you talk about this on Twitter, but you keep asking people to disprove that the Alienware Alpha is a console, when from what we've just agreed, the default should be that all electronics are computers, and then you figure out what they are.
Yeah, well, I'm getting to that. I'm explaining.
Right, but what I'm saying is, you keep asking for people to disprove that the Alienware Alpha is a console, as though it's the default position. Like, it is a console, now prove to me that it's a PC. When we have just now agreed that if everything is a computer, and then you figure out what exactly it is later on.
I don't understand what you're saying right now. You're saying that if everything is a computer...
What I'm saying is, on Twitter, you keep presenting this argument as though people have to disprove that the Alienware Alpha is a console, when we've just agreed right now that the default position is that everything is a computer, and then you figure out what it is afterwards.
I mean, but that has no bearing on the discussion.
I would
assume we all understand. I mean, I would assume we all understand that a calculator is a computer. But see, the reason why it is a calculator, right? That's the question you need to ask. Just like, why is the PS4 a console, even though it's still just a computer? Why don't they? Hold on. What I'm asking is, why don't they just call the PlayStation 4 a computer? It's for a reason why they call it a console. And if you understand what a console is by its definition, which all a console is a device primarily created to play video games that connects to a display unit, right? Yeah. Which the Alienware Alpha is exactly that.
Right, but my so PC is like that too.
Exactly, and I'm explaining, right? Did you build your PC personally? Yeah, did you build it yourself, pick your parts?
Well, when I initially got my PC, I got someone else to build it for me. But ever since then,
did they pick your parts? Did they pick the parts?
They helped me pick the parts, but I decided on what parts I wanted to get.
Okay, but what I'm asking you, it wasn't pre-built. It was, you picked the parts, someone built it for you or whatever, but you chose everything that went in it, right?
Yeah.
And what did you build this computer to do?
I built it to do a lot of things, but the main driving factor at the time was that I wanted to have a gaming PC.
Okay, you want to have a gaming PC, right?
Yeah.
There is nothing stopping you from calling your gaming PC a console, a video game console.
But there is, though, because it's a personal computer.
But at the same time, Fringy, what you're not understanding is your PS4 could be called and marketed as a personal computer as well. There's nothing stopping Sony from saying that.
Right. Okay. But this is the part where
it a console.
This is the part where we start to start applying the context of what's going on and actually looking at it a little bit deeper than just a definition. Because there are a lot of differences between my computer and a PlayStation 4. Not only in terms of functionality, but the way that they are designed.
Well, Fringy, there's also a lot of things in between your computer today compared to a computer back in, I don't know, the 60s and 80s. So, but that doesn't mean they're not computers.
No,
that was something that also
I
brought
know
up
they're
on
still
Twitter
computers, but there's a difference between, comparing computers from 30 or 40 years ago to computers of today, as opposed to comparing a computer of today to a console of today.
I'm gonna go ahead and let you explain, but I'm just gonna ask this question. What I'm getting from you guys is that the reason why the alpha isn't a console is because I guess what you guys are saying that it does everything your personal computer does.
Well, basically, there are a lot of ways to explain it. So, the Alienware Alpha is a PC because it can be used as a PC. It runs Windows 10 Home Premium, the desktop version of Windows 10. If I wanted to, I could buy an Alienware Alpha, unplug my current PC, plug all the stuff back in, and aside from different performance, it would be exactly the same. You can use it to render videos, you can use it to use Photoshop, use browsers, like the proper browsers as opposed to the console browsers. It is the same as PCs in terms of the way that it works. It is functionally identical to PCs. And there are big differences between the Alienware Alpha and consoles. One of the key ones is the fact that, for example, if you get a PS4, it only plays PlayStation 4 games that are coded for the PlayStation 4. The Alienware Alpha plays PC games that are designed for PCs.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna just throw this out here, right? By what a console is, does a console have to have dedicatedly, specifically made games that only work for that machine?
I would say that that's one of the big things that defines a console. Yeah, because pretty much every console works
what
that
I'm
way.
asking you is, and I think this is how it gets confused. I understand that a lot of consoles work that way, right? But does it have to do that to be considered a console, a video game console? And in actuality, no, it doesn't.
No, but I don't agree with that. I think that when you're actually trying to talk about this in the real world, when it comes to a console, one of the big differences between a console and a PC is the fact that it does do that it only plays games designed for that system. Because that's what distinguishes it from a PC. That's why you can't buy a PC and have a PS4.
Well, Fringy, is that a fact or is that your opinion?
What do you mean? Is it a fact or my opinion?
What I asked you was, does a video game console have to play specifically made games that's only made for it to be a video game console? Is that what your answer? Was that a fact or was that an opinion?
That's my opinion based on the facts of reality.
No, that's your opinion based upon what is commonly known.
Well, not about what's commonly known. It's based on what is...
I thought to you this, right? Are you familiar with the pimping? The Apple pimping?
I'm vaguely familiar with it, yeah.
Okay. That machine, which was sold as a video game console, and it is one because Apple called it what, but it did everything that a Macintosh could do at the time. Even played, you could just put the Macintosh game in there if you wanted to. It still ran. It worked. It didn't matter.
It wasn't a Macintosh, though.
It's only...
Like, could you use it the same as an Apple Mac?
At the time, yes, equivalent to what it could do. It was considered a cheaper alternative to it, and it primarily played games. That's why I call it a video game console. But it did everything you could do on a Mac. You plug a printer up to it, search the web, do whatever you want.
All right.
But it's called a video game console. I'm gonna tell you why. Because the people who created it decided to call it that, and it fits the criteria of what a video game console is. That's my whole discussion. I've been trying to tell people this whole time. The Alienware Alpha is made by Dell or Alienware, whoever you want to call it, right?
Yeah, Dell.
It fits the criteria of a video game console because they designed it. The ones called video game consoles, they designed it to primarily play games. It does everything else a normal computer does too, though.
Hold on.
But that doesn't matter.
Hold on. You just said before that the reason why it was a video game console was because they called it that. The manufacturer, in the case of the Pippin.
And it fits the criteria of what a video game console is.
But the thing is that I've shown you
a toaster.
No, but
they ain't gonna work. But it's not a toaster.
Hold on, because I showed you screenshots of Dell themselves calling it a PC, but
and I also showed you screenshots of it calling it a console too.
But okay, so
because there's multiple models.
How does the argument then of it's a console because the manufacturer said so? How does that work when the manufacturer has called it a PC?
Because I explained to you that there's multiple models of it.
There's multiple models of it.
You were showing me the desktop model.
The desktop model.
And I was showing you the console model.
The desktop model and the console model of the Alienware Alpha. Even though they're both pretty much the same thing.
You know what? It's not even pretty much. I'm gonna tell you, they're the same thing.
They're the same thing, but it's a console.
They're the exact same thing, but they called one of them a console, and therefore it is.
What?
You may think that's silly, but what you need to understand is this, Fringy. If you look up the history of video games, understand video games started on what? Computers, right?
Yeah.
We understand that all of our technology that we use today is computers, including your console, right?
Yep.
They decided, understand the history of where the term or word console came from when it came to video games. It came because back in America, not really in Japan. That's why the NES in Japan is called family computer. In America, computers were known more for business and all that, even though computers were heavily used for video game use. So they said, hey, in America, a computer is expensive. And it's also kind of tied for business. People have this, parents have this preconceived notions for business. How do we get this in people's homes for the video games? We call it something different. We call it a console, but it ain't no different. It's just a name change. It's just like today, you're known as Fringy on YouTube. You can be called, I don't know, whatever you want, the green art anime guy. I don't care. You can call yourself whoever, but you're still yourself. But your name is just changed.
But the thing is that there is a difference between a console and what were computers. Like, they were different. They weren't the same. It wasn't just the name change. They were different.
Are you familiar with the Atari X EGS?
No.
It played Atari games, but you can hook up a keyboard to it and then start using it as a computer, equivalent to what a computer will operate back in that time, a home computer.
What,
as a matter of fact,
that game,
I don't know. I'm not familiar with what exactly it ran, but as in like it ran. This is like I can describe how it worked. I wasn't born back then, but you know how you start up a computer, it's a blue screen, and then it asks for commerds, and you have to type in the commands that you want. That's how it operated, right?
Right, but was
it was
DOS?
Marketed and sold. I'll try to look it up.
Because computers ran on DOS.
I'll look up and tell you what it ran, but I could tell you exactly what it was sold as. It was sold as both a home console and a computer. It was the same thing. They just put it in a box, and the ones that came with the keyboard were considered the home console ones. I mean, not the home console, the computer ones. But you could buy the console version, which was just the same device without the keyboard, and you could just go buy the keyboard separately.
So can you see how this is a kind of a similar position as the Alienware Alpha, where you're now trying to tell me that it worked like a PC, but because they said it was a console, it was one?
But that's what I'm trying to explain to you. Why is it okay? Let me ask you this: the first console ever created, whatever that may be, why was that a console? Because they called it that.
Well, also because it could only play video games, I imagine.
There's plenty of devices that only play video games. They used to call them video game systems back then. They didn't call them consoles.
Video game system.
And it doesn't matter, does it?
A console is a video game system. Console. It's interchangeable. Like, my PC is a computer.
They're all interchangeable.
My PC is a computer that plays video games when I want it to. Whereas what you're talking about was a thing that was designed to play video games, and probably that's all it could do.
So what do you... No, the Atari thing was created for two different markets, but you can use it as either or.
I'm talking about the first one that you brought up.
Which one?
The first video game console.
The Pippin or the Alpha?
No.
Oh, you said the first video game console.
What you were just bringing up.
The first video game console, right? Ever made, right? I was bringing it up saying, why was it called a console? Because that's what they called it.
But I'm saying that it was probably called a console because that's all it could do, or that was what it...
I explained to you why they called it a console. They called it a console to make people understand in the market, because you guys were saying, you guys were trying to be silly and say, oh, I fell for marketing buzzwords. But you understand the term console was created for marketing.
Wait, so have you talked to the guy who made this and confirmed it for yourself?
What?
Have you talked to the guy who made this console?
There's plenty of documentaries there's plenty of documentaries that were created, that were broadcast on television, that you can watch on YouTube, and you can understand the history of video games and where they started, how they changed.
You said that this console was done and it was labeled as a console for marketing purposes, but
no, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Yes, you did. You just said that.
No, I didn't. You're not listening. What I said to you was, before I even brought up the first video game console, right? I said console, that term, it came because they wanted people to understand The difference between this and just your normal everyday computer.
No, hold on.
That's what I said.
Just about a minute ago, you were talking about the first video game console, and you said it was they called it a video game system. Then I said that console. No, I said
before that,
hold on, dude. Come on. Hold on.
Go ahead.
You said that a console and a video game system. I said that they were interchangeable terms, and then you started talking about they called it a video game console because that way they could sell it, more or less. And in response to that, I asked you if you would talk to the guy who made this system and asked him about that, because if not, you're just inferring meaning behind it. I'm not saying that the reason why it was called a video game console was because that was all it could do. I'm just saying I imagine that's probably why it was called a video game system.
And I'm explaining to you is that, and seeing as you could barely even repeat what I said, I don't think you fully heard. I explained like I said, clearly. After this, no, because you stumbled upon a lot of things I said. You didn't even repeat me word for word.
Well, I can't repeat you word for word because it happened 3 minutes ago.
Oh, well, I mean, I try to pay attention. When I'm in a debate, I try to pay attention to what someone is saying to me. So
yeah, I have been paying attention, dude.
Well, like I said, you can watch it back. You can see that I didn't say what you just repeated. I'm not talking about word for word, but I'm saying you're saying that I'm implying that the first video game console developers called it a console. That's not what I said. I just explained to you where the term console came from when it came to video games. And I said the first video game console creator, I asked you, why did they call it that? And you gave me your reason. I said, well, why didn't they just call it video game system? Because there were also video game systems at the time.
No,
they just called it that.
No, you never brought that point up, dude. Because I was paying attention.
Okay. We'll when you play it back or whatever.
But to address that point, like I said before, the terms are pretty much interchangeable. A video game system and a video game console are the same thing. They're systems designed to play video games.
Is console and computer interchangeable?
No. Well, a console and a personal computer is not interchangeable. No, because they're different.
I said console and computer.
Console and computer, no. It's now you're just getting into a redundancy. It's not about interchangeability. A console is a computer, but a computer isn't a console. I can call a console
computer.
No, but they're not interchangeable terms because a computer is not a console. A console is a computer. If you see what I mean, they're not interchangeable terms. A console is. You might be misunderstanding. Again, a console, when referring to video games, is a device primarily created to play games and also connects to a display unit, right? When I build my PC, my personal computer, right, or whatever you want to call it, I built it to primarily play games. It does other things, obviously, but it primarily plays games. Therefore, that's what it's a video game console.
I can call it that if I want to.
Yeah, but that would be fairly.
I wouldn't be incorrect either. Yeah. I just asked you this: Why would I be? But now let me ask you this: based upon the meaning of the word, a meaning I did not create, right? If I were to look this up, if anybody that's going to listen to this looks this up, they can go find what the meaning of a console is, a video game console is, right? And they'll find that definition on Webster or wherever else you go, right? Because if you go look anywhere else, the definition is the same. So if a device created primarily to play games that connects to a display unit, normally a television, is a video game console, and I built my computer, which a video game console is a computer, to primarily play games, and it connects to a display unit, which is my TV or monitor, depending on what I feel like that day, I could call it a video game console by the definition alone. That's not an incorrect statement. Now, you may not feel that that's right to say, but that's your opinion.
It's not that I don't feel that it's right to say. It's just that, like, in the face of the overwhelming reality of the current climate, to say that a computer that you built yourself is a video game console in the same way that an Xbox One is a video game console is ridiculous. Especially when they aren't the same.
Well, I mean, the Wii U and the Xbox One ain't the same, but they both video game consoles.
No,
I'm
but
not
they're
saying
the same
my
in
machine
terms
is
of
directly the same.
No, but they are the same when you break it down to very core things. What do? They primarily play video games. They have a very customized UI. They can only play games designed for those systems. That, like, the Wii U can only play Wii U games. They were manufactured by one company who controls the whole ecosystem, and for which all of the funds from every video game sold on their system goes directly to them. That is in no way the same as the Alienware Alpha, something that runs on a PC OS that is functionally the same as a PC, that plays PC games, and for which the funds from the games that are sold do not go to the manufacturer. Clear distinctions between these systems.
What I'm asking you is this. By what a console is, does any of that have to do with what considers it being a video game console?
Yeah, I would say that this is the kind of stuff that would be...
I think you're missing what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're, because maybe we're getting some confused. In a debate, to me, a fact outweighs an opinion.
No, but I'm not talking about my...
I'm giving you a fact.
I'm not talking about my opinions. I'm just providing you facts that you're choosing to ignore.
So, no, those aren't facts. Those are observations.
What do you mean? They're not. What do you mean? They're observations. They're not the same.
What, Fringy? Let me ask you this, right? Again, based upon what I just told you, does a video game console have to lock you down? Have to give all the money to the manufacturer? Does it have to do any of those things you said to be a video game console?
I would say so. Yeah. Because now I want to explain why. I want to explain why this is. You seem to be heavily relying on a definition of a video game console that is basically just like a sentence. One sentence that doesn't provide you nearly enough detail to actually have a real discussion about the reality of things. If someone just pulls out a textbook definition and says, well, this is what it says, so it must be so, then that's raising some red flags. Feminism is meant to be about equality, but in practice, it's not. Communism
now,
is
Frankie,
about to be the means.
I'm not all into the political stuff. I'm just letting you know. Dude, so
I'm explaining to you why the definition of something is not just like the be all and end all.
I don't understand the feminist thing. Right. I'm just telling you. You're telling to me. I'm not going to comprehend what that is. I don't follow.
Trust me. A lot of people. The people who watch this will understand what I'm getting at here. Let me explain it a little bit more in detail then. If you're not familiar with it. The definition of feminism in the dictionary, and the one that these people like to trot out all the time, is feminism is about equality. Yet, for example, like a few days ago, they hold a women's march, not a people's march or anything like that, a women's march, where the primary focus points for the people who are there are about women's issues. Now, if feminists were about equality, they would spend an equal amount of time, or at least like a reasonable amount of time, on the issues of both men and women. But all you need to do is look at any feminist channel, any feminist talk, to know that this is not the opinion of most feminists. At least the ones who are active in it. So basically, what I'm trying to get across here is, the definition says one thing, but reality says a different thing. Which is why, when you're talking about...
Frankie,
Alright, yeah, go ahead.
I'm just gonna ask you this about the feminist thing, right? Like I said, I don't know if that's I'm just to trust your word. I don't follow on that stuff, so I don't know what the actual meaning of a feminist is or not. But you say it's equality, right? It's about equality, and you were making the proposal that these people that are feminists are not about equality, right?
Yeah, based on their actions.
Could someone say? Let me ask you this correct. Could someone say, well, you're not being a feminist based upon the meaning of what a feminist is, which is what you said was equality, right? Would that make sense?
I don't. What do you mean? What do you mean?
No, if okay, let's just say me and you were around some feminists, and they were not, by the meaning of what a feminist is, which what you said is being spreading equality or something similar to that, correct? I don't want to misquote you. You said it was about equality?
The definition of feminism, and the one that they like to talk about, is equality.
Okay, so it's about being, equal or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So if a person that called himself a feminist was not being equal, would it be incorrect for someone to tell that person, hey, this is what a feminist is. It's about equality, and you're not being equal.
No, because
so you're not really. Would that be equal? I'm just asking you. Would that not make sense for someone to say? Could you understand why someone would say that to someone
could
that's not
say
being
that,
equal?
But what I'm trying to get across is that it wouldn't just because someone says, well, you're not for equality, therefore you're not a feminist, doesn't change the fact that a lot of these feminists who do this believe in a lot of feminist theory that's taught in academia that they consider to be like proper rigid feminist theory that completely contradicts with the definition, yet is supported by academia. Do you see what I'm getting at here?
So what you're saying is that
definition, reality, not the same.
That you're saying, but what you're not getting, Fringy, is I gave you an example already of a device that's essentially just a computer, a Macintosh, the Pippin, but it was called a console. I already gave it, but no one argued in that time period. Just like the Atari, it was marketed as a home computer and a console. No one sat there and said it wasn't either one of those, or that they're lying to me. That's why I asked people, is Alienware false advertising their Alienware Alpha as a console? No one answers yes. I'm gonna just ask you, do you believe they're false advertising?
What do you mean false advertising?
Are they lying saying that's a console? Is that incorrect information that they're saying? Them selling it as a console, is that considered false advertising? Equivalent to not too long ago when Sony said that Killzone was 1080p and it wasn't. That's false advertising.
That's a lie, though. Right? That's a lie when they said it was 1080p and it's not.
That's a lie. But what I'm asking you, is it a lie that they're calling it Alpha console? Is that a lie?
Yeah, I would say that it's not true. It's not that they're lying.
Why is
that they're saying something that isn't true. Like that
doesn't make sense. Because lying is saying something that's not true.
No, because if someone earnestly said that the Earth is flat, they're not lying because they think it's true. They're saying something wrong.
So now we're talking about what people think is true and what actually is true. And I think that's where we're misunderstanding.
Right,
is
but
that
what I'm saying is, false advertising.
You're giving me. Go ahead.
False advertising is generally when you lie for the sake of making money. By lying about what your product does to benefit you. Whereas with the Alienware Alpha, I think that what they were probably doing was marketing it as a console, even though it's not, to try and get the people with a bit more of the console mindset to go, oh, this isn't as daunting. It's not a PC, even though it is a PC, but because it's less daunting for the people that they're trying to sell this system to.
Fringy, I'm not familiar. I'm not sure if you just heard what you said. You're okay. You said false advertising is when they lie for the benefit of the company to make money, right? But
I said
you
that
said
false
that
advertising
Alienware
is generally when they lie, make something like an egregious, flat out lie to make money. Whereas what I'm saying,
but you just described the Alpha.
No. There's a difference between euphemistic marketing terms and lies. There are a lot of ads that you will see where they do things that aren't entirely true, or where they try and bloat something up to potentially be better than it is. And that's not false advertising because it's marketing. There is a certain degree of leeway when it comes to marketing in terms of bloating things to be different to what they are.
So let me understand this. You're saying there's a certain amount of leeway when it comes to marketing, right? So if it fits in the amount of leeway, then
hold on. I got a good example
then
now.
Why isn't it that thing? If that's what you're saying. I got a good example
now. When Ford says that their car is the best car on the market, that's not false advertising, but it's not true. Have you seen ads where a car manufacturer will say stuff
that's an opinion. You can't.
What do you mean? Our car is the best. That's not an opinion.
But no. What? Being the best is an opinion. Someone saying something is the best.
Hold on, because if someone says that Usain Bolt is the best runner, that's not an opinion because he is the fastest runner.
Wait a minute. You follow gaming, like I'm pretty sure. I think you follow gaming.
Mm-hmm.
So if you follow gaming, you've probably heard Microsoft say this is the best lineup of Xbox history.
Yeah, but it's not.
They said that 2 times. Right?
It's not. Though.
But that's also their opinion.
No, it's not their opinion. They're marketing it that way. Again, that's another example of them making a statement.
That's an opinion. Fringy, I don't understand how you don't comprehend that. Saying something is the best, that's an opinion.
So when I said
if someone said, Fringy, you're the best YouTuber, that's an opinion.
Yeah, that's their opinion.
But when I say that the Alienware Alpha is a console, and I give you the reasons why, the facts behind it, you understand, this whole entire time, I'm not giving no opinions.
Okay,
no opinion has been said out from me.
You just said...
And to be fair, Fringy, you haven't given me any facts back.
Dude, come on, man. You just said then...
Fringy, to be fair, I've been giving you facts. Dude, you haven't given me any.
What do you mean I haven't given you any facts? I've laid out many examples of what I'm talking about here. You seem to think that unless I'm relying on, like, textbook definitions, which are not particularly useful in any discussion, that somehow I've not provided you any facts.
Frankie, have you ever had to write a persuasive paper or persuade anybody? You're telling me that giving some type of background history or some type of credible source is not good in a persuasive argument?
It's fine. It's, you know, it's stuff that you need to do.
Is it not better?
You're acting like I haven't done anything like that at all. I've explained to you a lot of the reasons why consoles and PCs are different, but you've said that they're not facts because you personally don't agree with definitions.
No, it's not about personally. No, it's not personally. Frankie, you haven't given me any. I've given you definitions. You haven't given me any definitions.
I've explained to you that a PC and a console are different for tons of different reasons, and all of those are factual statements, yet in response to that, you say, I've given you no facts.
I gave you the definition of what a personal computer is.
I explained to you what consoles do. I explained to you what PCs do. And at no point did you say, actually, hold on, those aren't factual statements. It's not factual.
No, I said, what I said to you was, are those facts, or those your version of the word? You said it's your version.
My version? They're all factual statements that I'm using to support my proposition.
A personal computer, right? This is the definition. A general purpose computer equipped with a microprocessor and designed to run especially commercial software as a word processor or internet browser for an individual user. Anything that falls under that can be called a personal computer. By the definition. But not when we're talking about... This comes from Webster. This does not come from me. Nothing... Can you please...
So because you got it from someone else, what exactly? That means that it's the be-all and end-all.
No. What I just did was, I cited and credited somebody that's been existing before I was born. Fringy, you haven't done any of that.
So what? How does that change what I'm saying, whether it's true or not?
Because Fringy, again, I know you go to a university, and I know you know how this works. Unless you guys do something different in Australia, you know when you're writing a persuasive paper or argumentative paper, right? You need to do those things for a reason because it backs up your argument.
I've given you tons of reasons. You just don't like them.
You've given me your personal reasons. You haven't given me any credible sources. Can you give me? Can you give me some credible sources, Frankie?
What do you mean in terms of credible sources? You want me to pull up some dude talking about what a console is to support the argument that a system that runs Windows that is functionally identical to a personal computer by any normal person's definition of the word, when we're talking about in reality, in terms of the
there are many machines that run Windows.
In terms of the commercial context, juxtaposed to what people have always considered to be consoles, which is basically a system with a very closed ecosystem that only plays its own games. They're not the same thing.
Fringy, what you're saying right now is that because of the general gist of things, or the general outlook of things, that makes things the way they are.
I'm not saying the general outlook. I'm just talking about like in 99% of instances. You know,
well, okay, you said 99%. That means in the 1%, right? In the 1%.
No, I'm talking about when I say 1%, like I'm referring to like maybe some of the examples that you've talked about before.
You did that. Well, what I'm saying to you is, let me ask you this, Frankie. Again, during the time the Pimpin came out, it did everything the Macintosh did.
You didn't say that it did everything. It was you. I asked you if it was the same as a Mac, and you didn't say whether it was the same as a Mac. No, Frankie. I said at the time it was identical. You could do whatever you wanted to do on a Mac, you could do on there. That's what I said. Was it functionally the same as a Mac? Is what I'm asking. Was it functionally the same?
What do you mean, like one to one identical? When I say it's
functionally the same, I don't mean can it do the things that this does. When I'm talking about the Alienware Alpha and my PC, they're functionally identical because they are functionally identical. That's not the case.
Does your PC have a console mode built into it or anything like that?
Yeah, big picture mode on Steam.
No, I'm not talking about that.
That's the same thing.
I'm not talking about big picture mode. No, it's not. The Alienware Alpha has a built-in mode created by Dell that's in the Alienware Alpha.
Oh, okay. So by that logic, then no PCs are the same because they have proprietary software built into them.
I've never said that they were the same. I'm not saying they are.
But the thing
that doesn't mean they're not computers. Hold on. That doesn't mean they're not PCs.
No, but hold on, man. Like what you're trying to do
fundamentally the same. That mean in consoles.
All I asked you was the Pippin functionally identical to the to an Apple Mac in the way that it works, and instead of just saying, yeah, it's functionally the same, you keep bringing up other points.
I explained to you. No, I didn't. I said at the time, yes, it was. That's what I said. I went in detail, and I said at the time. I'm not today, obviously.
I'm not talking about today. I was talking about at the time.
Well, yes.
As in, it could be used in exactly the same way as a Mac.
Yes.
And did you have to do anything to the system to make it work that way? Or was it out of the box, able to be used identically to a Mac?
Out of the box, when you bought it, it came with a boot disk. You had to put the boot disk in and, upload the OS and all that whatnot. So you had to do that.
But what I'm saying is, did you have to do anything to the system to make it work identically to a Mac? Yeah.
You had to modify it? No, you didn't. It came with everything ready for you to go.
And then just like that,
but it's still a console.
Use it like a PC.
Yeah, it's still a console though, because they called it one. And no one argued. No one said it wasn't. No one said they're lying to me. It was.
And so by that logic, all of the Mac games that had come before were somehow console games now.
Yeah,
because this is where it all started.
Right? I get into that, right? I'm just trying to understand something. This is what I've been understanding for the longest of time, right? A game is not exclusive if it's on a console and a PC. I can't stand when people say, well, it's not that I can't stand it. I just find it silly when people say. It's a multi-platform
game at that stage.
Yeah, it's a multi-platform. Yeah, I can't understand when people say it's a console exclusive.
But if you have now claimed that Civilization 6 is on consoles because it's on the Alienware Alpha, you're telling me that if I went up to Firaxis and asked them, hey, is your game on consoles? They'd be like, yeah.
That doesn't mean that. I didn't say that.
If I went up to any of these developers and asked them, is your game on console? How many of them do you think would say, yeah, it is? Because it's on the Alienware Alpha.
It doesn't matter if they say, yeah, it is or not.
I think it does, because they made the game.
No, because for all they know, they don't know what it could play on.
Yeah, they do. They know it can play on PCs.
If I went up to Blizzard, I believe it's Blizzard, and I said, hey, can I run World of Warcraft on the PS3? And they say, no, it's not for the PS3. I said, but here's a modified PS3.
Right, and but it's modified, they wouldn't know that. So it's not a PS3
all right, but
anymore.
the alpha isn't modified. The alpha just runs computer games.
No, the alpha is a computer. Therefore, it runs computer games.
So is your PlayStation 4.
No, because, like... Let me give you an example, right? I could go to a store and get a copy of Battlefield 1 for PC. On the box, it has a label that says PC. That indicates that it is unlike a PS4 disc. This disc runs on PCs via Windows, and it runs the same way in terms of the way that it boots up and works on anything that can run this. Anything that can run this is a PC because it can only run on PC. You get an external disk drive. You put that in for the Alienware Alpha. It's playing. Why? Because it is a PC and it runs PC games. Now that's not a cited source. I know it's not a cited source, but it's reality.
You're saying again, Fringy. You're basically using. It's just like this, right? Someone will say that a ball is a ball because it bounces.
No.
Right.
No.
But not every
ball.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. People will say a ball is a ball because it bounces. Because majority of balls bounce.
Yeah, but lots of things bounce.
That's a ball bounces.
Right.
But hold on, wait.
So that's
a lot
of
things bounce, and and everything that is a ball doesn't bounce. Right. Again. A console doesn't have to be restricted. It doesn't have to play its own dedicated games. It doesn't have to do any of those things for it to be a video game console.
Why?
Because by the definition,
because
the facts of what a video game console is. But Frankie, what's making you say so? Nothing.
It's lots of different things. I'm not just saying the definition says so. I'm saying look at reality. Look at the differences
I'm not looking
between
at.
these systems.
But if you look at reality and you understand that in reality that a video game console is a computer, they're all computers. Right, they're all the same thing.
But now,
the only reason it's called a video game console.
When we're talking about this, we're talking about PCs in the context of Windows computers. Everything is a computer. We already know this. But when you're trying to claim that the Alienware Alpha is a console and not a personal computer, we are talking about PCs that run Windows versus consoles.
Fringy,
Not all computers.
I'll say this, Fringy. I asked you a question, and you didn't really. I can't remember if you answered, but I asked you again. I asked you, was Alienware lying to us? You said no, but they're not telling the truth or something like that, right?
You're trying to claim
it's
false advertising.
You said it's not false advertising.
I said it's euphemistic marketing.
But is it false advertisement?
No, because it's euphemistic marketing.
Okay,
they're
so
not the
if
same
it's not
thing.
false advertising, right? If it's not false advertising, right, and they're not lying to the consumer when they sold this device as a console, then if someone says it's a console, why are they incorrect all of a sudden?
Dude,
Alienware's not correct for selling it as one.
Do you seriously believe that when people are marketing something, when they're talking about a product that they're trying to sell, that everything in the ad that they say is true?
Look, I guarantee Dodge Charger can't sell a Dodge as a television.
Yeah, I'm sure they can't, but they can say things that aren't correct.
You know why Alienware can sell that device as a console? Because it fits the criteria.
Because
Simple.
It fits the criteria that you personally like.
Oh, it's not. No, it's not me personally. That Fringy. Like, again, that's not my definition. Fringy, I want you to
hold on
Fringy,
a
this
second.
whole entire time. I want you, Fringy. I have not given my opinion this entire time.
I want to bring up something. Hold on. Do you know what an encyclopedia is, right?
Yeah, I know what an encyclopedia is.
Yeah, what is an encyclopedia versus a dictionary?
Encyclopedia normally has a bunch of information about a certain topic.
Yeah, it has context. That's what it has. Now, if someone came to me with the textbook definition of, say, for example, communism, which is definitely not what it is in practice, and like, this is my definition, therefore I'm right, and someone else came with, here's an encyclopedia, here's all the information that it has in here that extends well beyond it, which one of the people has the more compelling argument? The person with the dictionary or the person with the encyclopedia?
But I would say the person with the encyclopedia, but you haven't given me an encyclopedia, Frankie. You didn't give me your word.
No, but you don't. An encyclopedia is effectively just expanding upon the definition to look at what's going on in reality.
A homeless man can't just write an encyclopedia and it be considered credible either. So
no, but what I'm saying is I mean, no, dude, you're trying to say that, oh, well, I got the dictionary definition, you're expanding that, but that's not a realistic, reasonable argument.
But your expansion, you said that there's a 1% chance that all those things you mentioned, which is the lockdown of the console and the fact that it's restricted and all this other stuff, you're leaving leeway. For some reason, you decide to say 99%.
There's always the possibility that anybody could be wrong on something.
So there's always the possibility that someone can create a console that's not restricted, that just runs computer games.
I was saying 99% because there's always a margin that somebody has got something wrong. There's always a possibility that you missed something.
Let me just say this, Fringy. So why exactly? Let me just ask you this: if Sony decided and came out and said, "All right, the PS5 is our new console, video game console, but you can go on Steam and it plays games from the computer. You put the game in and the CD-ROM in, and it works, and blah 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 blah, right?" And they call it a video game console, right? Would there be? I'm just asking your opinion on this. This is me asking for an opinion. Would there be some type of uproar, or they're lying, or they're just selling me some junk, or people would just say, "Oh, it's a video game console," and then they wouldn't even say nothing about it?
You're saying the general public, if the PlayStation 5 was what ran Steam, because that doesn't make it a PC.
Not just Steam. It runs Steam. Like I doubt it would run Windows, but let's just say it ran the PS4 runs like a version of Linux. Let's just say it just runs the normal version of Linux.
No, but a PC runs Windows.
Steam on Linux.
That's one of the key things that makes a PC.
My argument was not about if it was a PC or not. PC means personal computer.
I know what PC means, but when we're talking about PCs, we're talking about systems with Windows. You went up to any person, like in this field, and you asked them, what's a PC? They probably would mention something to do with Windows.
Okay, they can say that all they want, but is that what a PC is? I just explained to you what a PC was.
but yet, for some reason, when you cite somebody who says something otherwise...
But you didn't cite anybody, then.
What do you mean I'm not citing anybody? If you go up to anybody who works in this field and ask them what a PC is, they will probably bring up Windows.
Fringy, that's not
is that
citing
not
somebody.
a true
That's
statement,
a what if
though?
statement.
What do you mean a what if?
That's
Do
not.
it.
That's not.
Ask somebody. Ask them what a PC is
if
and
I
see
went
if
up,
they talk
so
about
Fringy,
Windows.
what would happen if I went, Fringy, if I went up to somebody and asked them what a PC was, and they just read off the personal the definition I gave? Are they correct now, or you would say they're wrong?
I'm not saying whether or not they're correct
just
or
someone in
wrong.
the
I'm
field.
saying that that's what they would probably say to you.
You're saying what's the general gist of what people think something is, but
not,
that doesn't mean
not
that
the
is what
general
it is.
gist of what people think it is. What is the widely agreed upon conclusion that people have on what something is?
But Fringy, what I'm trying, Fringy, I think what you're misunderstanding is you're saying what's the widely general conclusion, but that doesn't mean that is what it is.
Saying what's
just because people have a preconceived notion of what something. Just because people think something is some way doesn't mean it's actually that way.
Yeah, I know. I mean, let's look at the scientific field, for example. A lot of the scientific theories are labeled as something that people widely have concluded is correct. Now, it might be disproven. Let me finish. It might be disproven at some stage, potentially. But as it stands right now, the generally agreed upon conclusion is what you'll see in the theory. Like, gravity is what is generally agreed upon to be true. And it's not like, well, they all share that opinion, therefore it doesn't make it true. It's a situation of, it's very, 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 very likely that it's true because the people have widely concluded that this is true with support from the facts. Now, many of the facts that I have provided to support the conclusion that I'm trying to bring you to is the differences between a PC and a console. But again, your argument just falls back on, it's not the definition, you can't link me to a person who agrees with me, despite the fact that when we were talking about this on Twitter, a lot of people disagreed with you, therefore you've not provided any facts, you've not made any argument whatsoever.
I didn't. Well, Fringy, if you didn't
and if
read
you didn't
what I was
understand
writing,
what I just said there, I don't know what to say.
No, Fringy. First of all, on Twitter, I kept saying over and over, I'm not going to spoil my debate and tell you my points on Twitter if we're going to have a debate. So I don't even know why. I don't know if you missed those statements. I said that to multiple people because they kept saying, Grim, tell us what you mean. Tell us why you say this. And I said, why would I spoil it here if I'm going to have this debate with you?
So you're willing to not even talk about all of your points before a debate just because you don't want to spoil it?
But Fringy, why would I do, if we're going to have a scheduled debate, why would I just pretty much have my debate on Twitter there? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, because then...
But again, that's not the topic of the conversation. I'm just bringing it up because you brought up what happened on Twitter. And I'm saying
what do you mean?
Well,
I mentioned it in one sentence, and you've made this big point.
Fringy, on Twitter, all this stuff that you're saying now, you didn't say there.
All this stuff now, like what?
The whole when I asked you what a console was and where'd you get I asked you that on Twitter, right? You didn't go as deep as you did in this conversation. I gave you a definition,
and then you were like, "Oh, where'd you get it from?"
And I said, "Where did you get it from?" And you didn't tell me.
I didn't need to tell you because it's like, okay, here's a definition. Do you agree with this definition? What is the point of having a debate where you're just arguing about definitions for the whole time?
Fringy. I'm not talking about my opinion because if you knew my opinion, you probably would laugh right now. I'm not talking about my opinion.
Your opinion is that the definition is correct. The definitions that you provided are correct. Because if that's not your opinion, you're making a non-point here.
It's my opinion that Webster is correct.
So it's your opinion that the definition is correct. If you think Webster's is correct in their definition, then you agree with the definition. Basic extrapolation.
Fringy, you're not making sense.
How am I not making sense? You agree with the definition provided.
I told you what Webster said, and I brought it up as a point. I never said what if I agree. Hold on, did I ever say I agree?
You just said you agreed with Webster. You just said you agreed that they're credible. If you agree that they're credible,
no, I agree that they're credible. I agree that they're credible. Did I say I agree with the definition?
So you agree with their definition? You agree that they're credible?
No, I said they're credible. But did I ever say I agree with their definition?
Do you agree with their definition?
That's not the point of the debate, Fringy.
What do you mean it's not the point of the debate? You're trying.
My opinion.
Are you proposing a point that you don't even agree with?
Opinion. I never said that. Why are you saying that? I never said that. I never said I didn't agree with it. I never said I did agree with it. I never answered the question.
I'm saying, I'm asking you. I never asked you this. I'm asking you right now.
I told you it's not the point of the debate.
Are you making an argument from a position that you don't agree with?
Do I have to agree with something to bring up a point of argument?
Not necessarily. I'm just wondering. All right, so what I'm just asking.
I'll tell you after the debate because it's not important.
It's not important.
Is it? I mean, I'm just asking you. Is it what does me agreeing with the definition or not have anything to do with the fact that that's the definition, that's the meaning, so that's what qualifies a console? Let's think about it. What does anything have to do with how I feel about it?
Okay, so what you just said is, whether or not I agree with it, does that have to do with whether or not it is the definition? So
hey, check this out, Frank. I said this.
Dude, come on! You keep interrupting me. I'm trying to explain it to you right now.
We've been interrupting each other. Let's not put the blame on.
Let me explain what you just said there. You just said, okay, there can be an opinion that's true. There can be a definition that's true, but I don't agree with it. Is a possibility. Then so you are saying that you could potentially. You just did.
Fringy, I didn't say those things. No, I did not. Fringy, what I said was I never answered your question whether I agree with it or not. I never answered you.
No, you said.
I never said I agree with it. I never said I didn't agree with it. I said it's not important to the discussion.
You said that your opinion was irrelevant to whether or not the definition was true, which means that there is the possibility that you don't agree with the definition that you have said is true. Does that make any sense to you at all? To agree with to say that something is true, but that you don't agree with it, which is a possibility if in your mind it's irrelevant what I think.
Fringy, you're not making any sense because you're saying that I said things that I didn't even say.
People will be able to see it when they rewatch it.
Can you please repeat what you said again? Because it's not even making sense. You're saying, right, if I don't agree. Hold on, Fringy, you said if I don't agree. Remember, we're talking, you're asking me an if statement. If I don't...
No, I'm trying to make you follow the logic so that you can understand how illogical it... You said before that your opinion on the definition or this whole thing is irrelevant to whether or not the definition is true, which means that there is a possibility that you don't even agree with the definition that you have claimed is true, which would mean that you have an opinion that is different from reality and that you know it, which is an impossibility.
So hold on. So it's impossible. So wait a minute.
It is impossible to think something is true but have a different opinion to it. I can't say, well, evolution is true, but I don't believe in it. It's an oxymoron.
But that's not what I'm doing. And that's not what I said.
And yet you presented the point that your opinion is irrelevant.
Fringy, you're creating
and that you have a different opinion.
You're creating an if statement and then trying to say that I said this.
I didn't. No, I didn't. I said that your statement doesn't make sense because you're trying to impose that there is a possibility that you disagree with something that's true.
I never imposed that there's a possibility that I don't agree.
You did. Because you said that your opinion was irrelevant to whether or not this statement was true. If your opinion is irrelevant...
Wait. My opinion is irrelevant because I'm having a debate with somebody, and an opinion doesn't outweigh the facts. That's why it's irrelevant. Not because whether or not
you said you have a different opinion to what you're presenting in this argument.
I didn't say that. No, I did not say my opinion might make you laugh. That's what I said to you.
Because it's not the same as what you're saying right here.
I didn't say that, did I?
You said if you knew my opinion. You have definitely said opinionated things in this video, in this debate.
That's all I said. I said if you knew my opinion, it would make you laugh. But it's not about my opinion. It's about the fact. The fact is that's what a console is. And guess what? That's really it. It's nothing else to it.
That's really it. There's a definition that I agree with.
All a video game console is, right? A video game console, again, is a device created primarily to play video games that connects to a display unit. That is it.
As long as you ignore all of the reality, all of the context, all of the facts, all that matters is that there's a definition that you
like. That other stuff.
Therefore, that's the end of it.
Hold on, Fringy, you're not understanding something. Go look up that definition from anybody else. It's the same definition.
It's a definition. It's just a word. It's a definition.
Okay.
That's all it is. And you're relying on that as the crux of your whole argument.
This whole entire time, Fringy, we've been using words. If we didn't understand the meaning of the words we were using, then how would we be having a discussion right now?
But what I'm saying is, that's basic that people understand the meaning of the words. Yet you're trying to make that the whole debate. Is like, well, we're going to just talk all about this definition.
Fringy, let me ask you this, right? Have you said anything to change that's the definition of that word?
It doesn't matter if I change the definition of the word. It's a definition.
No, I'm not saying
it's irrelevant. It's just a definition. And you're relying on it as the crux of an argument.
Hold on. Fringy, why is my definition irrelevant? Let me just ask you why.
Well,
even though that's your opinion, I want to know why it's irrelevant.
I'm misspeaking there. I'm not saying that it's irrelevant. I'm just saying that it can't be the crux of your whole argument. This is what the
well, why not?
Okay, let's break it down this way. All right, we're going to have a debate. What is communism about? Well, the dictionary says that communism is about, like, the means of production. Therefore, that's what communism is. And then someone says to you, hey, but what about what happened in communist Russia? What happened in, you know, the USSR? What happens in all of these communist regimes? Well, those aren't facts. That's just... Because I've got the definition, and the definition is different from what you're saying.
Now I understand the confusion.
So even
I'm not saying, Fringy, what you just said is not what I'm saying. Remember when you brought up the thing about the Fringy? Remember when you just brought up the thing about the encyclopedia, and you said which one has more? Which one would I trust more in, like the encyclopedia, which would give me more detail on what a console is and all that stuff, or just the definition? I said the encyclopedia, but what I've been explaining to you is you have yet to cite an encyclopedia.
I don't need to cite an encyclopedia. It was an example of the way that you.
Because how am I?
It was It was trying to explain to you. It was trying to explain to you how the logic of an encyclopedia works. It is not just the definition, it is an expansion. It is looking at reality. It takes into account what happens in the world. It takes into account all of these facts that you don't think are real. And with that analogy that I just did,
what are you talking about? Those facts I don't think are real. I didn't say that.
You said I haven't brought up any facts, and yet I have brought up facts about the differences between a console and a PC. And still, you have totally disregarded all of that.
Fringy. I never said that those weren't true. What are you talking about?
What do you mean? You said that I brought up no facts.
Fringy, after you said those things, after you said those things, what did I say? But Fringy, does that have anything to do with if it's considered a console or not?
It does.
That's what I asked you.
It does. Because all you're saying is all a console has to be is the definition. Therefore, all communism has to be is this definition. Yet in reality, a lot of communism.
Why do you keep bringing up communism?
I'm trying to show you that the dictionary is not the be-all and end-all.
But I already
because in reality,
if someone were to bring up what communism is by the definition, that someone can say, "Wait a minute, if this is what communism means." Well, these people that say they're communists, they're not being the communists.
By that logic,
you could say that.
By that logic, communist Russia wasn't communist because they didn't meet the definition in the dictionary. Are you serious?
By that logic. No, I said someone can propose the argument that they're not being communist.
That would be a fucking stupid argument, man. I tell you that.
At the same time, at the same time, Fringy, cannot being a communist change?
Yeah, it can change, which is why the definition is kind of irrelevant in terms of a full argument.
And so can the definition of video game console could change too. But guess what? It hasn't.
Right,
and guess what? The definition was created in the 80s. That wasn't that long ago. Maybe, 20, 30 years. It ain't been that long. Now you look at communists. Now that's been communism in the true meaning and where it started. That's probably changed so much over the years. So someone can make the proposal.
No. It really hasn't though. The definition hasn't, because communism is an ideology that is supposed to have a clear set rule, and yet the rule is not applicable in reality.
It's supposed to have a clear set rule by the definition.
Every time, I want to explain it to you again, because I don't think that you're understanding what I'm even saying here. What I'm trying to point out is, let's show another example of relying on the dictionary. Well, let me just double check it for you. Well, communism is a theory or system of social organization in which all property is owned by the community and each person contributes and receives according to their ability and needs. Therefore, communist Russia wasn't communist. That is the same thing that you're trying to do here with.
Is that incorrect to say? Hold on. If you're saying it's
no,
not
it is
feeding the
incorrect
criteria,
because communist
hold on,
Russia was communist.
I'm not. Look, like I said, I'm not big on history when it comes to that type of stuff. But you're saying that Russia didn't fit that criteria, right?
Yeah, it didn't fit the criteria, yet it was
Okay,
still
so what's
communist.
wrong with someone saying? What's wrong with someone saying, "Hey, you can call yourself a communist all you want, but you're not fitting the criteria"?
Because
there's nothing wrong with saying that.
it was called communist. It started as it was made as a communist country. Their objective was to run as a communist country. They didn't meet the criteria, but they were communist. That was a communist country.
You understand that words have multiple meanings, but video game console got the one meaning.
What do you mean words have multiple meanings? Communism is a definition. The word communism technically has
different
one
definitions.
And
does it have different definitions?
It has that definition. That is the definition of communism.
No. It's the only definition, right?
That is the definition. You don't.
So it's the only one.
It is the one. Is what I'm telling you.
Okay, so if
definition.
It's the only one, what I'm saying to
there
you
might
is
be
what
other
is
ones,
incorrect
but
with
that
someone
is the
saying.
one.
Hold on, wait. How can it might be the other ones, but
well,
it's
because
that don't make sense.
For example, there are some dictionaries that have multiple definitions, and some dictionaries have just one.
All right, so I'm saying, does that word have? I'm telling you that I looked it up. Video game console only has the one definition, no matter where you look. And I'm saying to you, does communist have the one, only one meaning?
That's the one that you'd see in every dictionary.
But it's the only one.
There might be different ones, but that's the one that you would see in every dictionary.
Because it might be different ones, then you could say that Russia maybe was fitting the criteria of being communist, depending on if they had a different definition. Now they don't. Now listen, Fringy.
They didn't meet that definition, but they were still a communist country.
Fringy, you're not listening to what I'm saying. They didn't meet that definition, but since you have said to me that there might be other definitions, well, maybe they fitted another one. I don't know. Like I said,
they didn't.
This is a topic that you're bringing up. I didn't come here talking about.
So why are you trying? You're starting with the what ifs, and now you're arguing as though they're valid. You're like, now I can bring up what ifs, and that's fine. But when Fringy brings up what ifs, then it's not valid.
Fringy. We might be in two different earths right now. I did not bring it up communism.
No, I know you didn't bring it up, but you brought up the what if there. Because you brought up the second definition.
Fringy, understand this. I was trusting your word because this is your topic. I don't know nothing about this stuff. So when you said, because I said, is it the only definition? You said there might be others. That's you bringing up the if, and then I didn't.
No, I didn't. You asked me, and I said there might be other ones, and then you said, well, then that means that there might not be. You created the what if.
What?
You asked me a question, and then you went on with the what if.
Hold on, Fringy, you understand that when you answer, it might be others. That's you creating the if, not me.
What do you mean?
Because
you asked me a question, I said there might be, then you created. And then you ran.
No, I didn't create nothing. You created it with the maybe.
I said there might be, but I don't think so.
And that's me. No. There might be, and that's no. You didn't say I don't think so.
I'm saying I don't think so. There might be.
No, you said that
now.
You didn't say that at first. I said, is it the only definition? Because I said console only has one definition, no matter where you look. I said, does communism has only one definition? You said there might be others, and I said, well,
but there might be other console definitions.
I looked.
You looked everywhere. You looked everywhere.
I looked everywhere.
Everywhere
possible.
Everywhere that you could have.
Look, I'm only one man. I looked everywhere I could. That's why I said possible.
But there might be. There might be a different definition.
There might be. And until you bring that up.
Whoa, look at that.
Until you bring it up. What do you mean? Look at what?
Now I've just created the same paradigm that you've done. You created a what if, mate. You see what I'm getting at here?
But Fringy, that doesn't change anything. I didn't say, oh my God, you created a what if,
so
you're
because
incorrect.
Now I can say maybe the definition of a console has changed.
But we're playing off of maybe. But you're playing off of maybe, and I'm playing off of fact.
To begin with, though.
This is the definition.
I can't believe this, man. Like,
I gave you the definition. I gave you the definition, Fringy. And you're trying to play off of what if. Now, when I did the play off of what if, I didn't say that makes you incorrect. I didn't say that, but that's what you're trying to do with me.
What do you mean? Did I say it made you incorrect? Can you quote the time that I said, therefore you're incorrect?
No, you didn't.
Now you're just inferring it. But I never said that.
No, you're right. No, Fringy, you're right. I am inferring that you're saying I'm incorrect. That is what I'm doing. I don't know what this... And
yet, for some reason, I can't infer things based on what you've said.
I didn't say
doing that. I'm being wrong.
I didn't say you couldn't infer things. I'm asking you, why are you doing that?
Why am I doing what?
Why are you inferring I'm incorrect based off of if
Did I
statement?
infer that you were incorrect? Because after all, I never said that.
I never said that either.
When did I say that you said I was incorrect?
When did you say I said I was incorrect? What?
You said that.
So this is why I didn't want to talk about communism.
Yeah, I know you didn't want to talk about communism because it disproves the whole point that you've been trying to make this whole time. Let me explain for a minute before you keep interrupting me on this. Let me explain to you why this has just made your argument wrong. Your argument is predicated.
You just said my argument was wrong, but you said you're not inferring that it's wrong.
I'm saying now that it's wrong. I'm not saying we were talking about the previous thing.
Why aren't you trying to pretend like you weren't doing that?
Of course I think your argument is wrong. We're debating it.
But why were you pretending?
Let me explain what I was trying to say. I told you. You said, okay, go ahead, explain. Then 5 seconds in, you interrupted me again.
Yeah, because you're confusing me. You said that you didn't infer that was wrong, but then you just said it was wrong. It's confusing.
No. No.
It is.
You just do not understand what I was getting at all. You just did not follow that experiment. But please, let me explain what I'm trying to say here. Your argument is entirely predicated on, here's what the definition says, therefore this is reality. What I'm trying to explain to you is that the dictionary definition is not the be-all and end-all, and there are many examples to show why that is. A definition, arguing about a definition is pointless, because it's just a definition of a word. When you're actually trying to debate something, you can't just come into it and say, here's what the definition says, therefore that's the end of it. You have to take into consideration reality, the differences between a PC and a console, the context in which those words are used, when you generally see those words used, and what you can see, just in reality, is that when we're talking about a console is different from a PC in a lot of ways. A console is manufactured by one company in a closed ecosystem that can only play games that are designed for it, for which the funds from that game are funneled to the manufacturer. They have deals. They run the thing. They run the online service. Whereas a PC is just a computer. Usually it runs Windows 10. The Alienware Alpha runs Windows 10. The Alienware Alpha is a PC. It is exactly the same as a PC in the way that it can be used. And all of the games that run on the Alienware Alpha are PC games. Yet in spite of all that, because it is occasionally marketed and not even consistently as a console, and the definition when applied so broadly that it's pretty much worthless, oh, it's a console, therefore it's a console, in spite of all of those facts.
Can I go now?
Is that the end for you? Like, I just explained it clearly. And throughout this debate, all of it you said is, nah, that's not facts. Nah, that's just your opinion. Now you can go ahead.
Well, one, you credited nobody. Two, you said that the Alpha runs Windows 10. Well, so does my Xbox One.
No, it runs a heavily customized Windows 10.
It doesn't matter. It runs Windows. It runs Windows 10
Home Premium.
Oh, no, Fringy. Now, Fringy, I will admit I have been cutting you off, but you're cutting me off right now. And what your statement is that the Alpha runs Windows 10.
I was talking about Windows 10 Home Premium, dude.
But that's not what you said.
I was talking about Windows 10 Home Premium. I'm just telling you now.
But you know the Alpha can run any versions of Windows 10 or any OS you decide to put in.
I'm just trying to draw a clear similarity between my PC and that.
Let me continue what I was saying.
Okay,
right?
Go ahead.
The Xbox One runs Windows 10. The Alpha runs Windows 10. You said something about that consoles, the manufacturer get money from it. If you know the history of consoles, you realize that didn't start with the NES. So I'm just guessing here, or I'm gonna ask you rather, before the NES, before those rules were in place by the manufacturer, were those consoles?
That was but one of many of the criteria that I listed. It was just one example.
But what I'm asking, because that doesn't fit the criteria, is it now, are those before the NES, are those now not consoles?
It's but one of many criteria. It doesn't mean you have to meet them all It's just about using common sense to understand.
Okay, so you're saying you don't have to meet them all. So let me ask you, do I have to meet any of them? Why do I have to meet any of them?
What I'm saying is that just because one of them might not have been applicable in one of the instances doesn't mean that it's not a video game console.
But can't you say that same thing for the alpha?
No, because it is the same as a PC.
Just because it doesn't meet the quote-unquote criteria that you have. Now, I'm not saying you created them. I understand what you're saying. Those things are generally what comes along with buying a video game console. But what I'm saying to you is, Fringy, what is stopping someone from not applying any of that and still creating a video game console? Honestly, Fringy, there is nothing stopping someone from doing it. Alienware did it. And they're not the first to do it. I already explained to you that Apple did it a long time ago. Nothing stops them from making something that's just a freaking computer, a normal computer that you could buy anywhere else, but they decided to call it a video game console. It's nothing stopping them. And they're not incorrect for calling it that. Just like there's really nothing stopping me calling my pre-built computer, I call it a PC. But if I wanted to call it a video game console, well, there's nothing stopping me from saying that. I'm not incorrect for saying it either.
And then that would render all PC games to be multi-platform games because they're on console.
Sure. I don't see what
really?
The deal is. I mean, what difference does it make if they're multi-platform games? I don't care if they're multi-platform games.
You do, because that's what started this whole thing. You said, I can play all of these games on console. Why would you say that if that was irrelevant?
I'm just informing you because maybe you didn't know that the Alienware Alpha existed. I don't know what you know.
I know what the Alienware Alpha existed, but at no stage in the last few years that it's existed have I ever thought, yeah, it might be a console. It's not.
No, not that it might. Did you know that it was sold as a console? That there was a version sold as a console?
They called them Steam machines and said that they were competing with consoles.
I'm not talking about the Steam machine ones. I'm talking about the ones called Alienware Alpha Console. When you buy it, on the receipt it says console. On the box it says console. Did you know that one existed before my video?
Yeah, I was vaguely. I mean, it's not in the back of my mind, but I was probably familiar with it at some stage.
Okay, so maybe you forgot about your video. I agree with most of your video, other than that part, because
other than that part about where you can play all of these PC games on console.
Yeah, I didn't agree with
that. Because you can play them on the Alienware Alpha.
Yeah, I agree with everything else
PC.
You said about Savante's video. Yeah, it's multi-plat. It's on a console. That's why I tied the video what I did. I mean, I felt that you effed up by saying that, but I mean, I agree with everything else.
I fucked up by saying that Civilization 6 is a PC game because you can play it on the Alienware Alpha, a PC that is occasionally marketed as a console.
Well, I mean, that's just like you saying the PS4 is a computer marketed as a console. I mean...
No, but it's a console, though. Because it's different from a PC, whereas the Alienware Alpha is not. It is the same.
Why is it different from a PC? So if someone were to create, and they have created restricted computers before, especially for children, that doesn't mean they're not computers or PCs either.
But it makes them different from a regular personal computer.
That might be true, but that doesn't mean it's not a personal computer. I never once said the Alpha wasn't different. I just said it's a console. It's very different from traditional consoles, but still a console nonetheless.
But it's a PC. It is a PC.
The ones that are sold as PCs are PCs, sure.
But they're all PCs.
What are they all? You mean all the Alphas are PCs?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about? I mean, the ones sold and called ones are PCs,
so even though they are the same, one of them is called a console. So even though it is the same as the ones that you seem to agree are PCs, it's not. Well, because they said it's not.
The ones that are sold as PCs and desktops don't come with the Xbox 360 controller automatically. What? Well, I'm just explaining to you that they're not necessarily all the same because they don't come with the
no, but I'm talking about the hardware, not the bundle.
But remember when I told you about the Atari, how they had it was the same device, but one came with a keyboard and one just came with a controller.
Right, so they were both PCs then, weren't they?
No, one was a home console, one was a computer.
Because they said it was, even though it was the same. Even though it was the same thing.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. You're right. Hey, Fringy, let me ask you this. Are you familiar with sneakers?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Michael Jordan or Nike brand?
Mm-hmm.
They have these Michael Jordan basketball shoes that look just like, I'm not familiar if you're familiar with Air Force Ones. They look just like Air Force Ones. but they're called basketball shoes. Now we all know that basketball and athletic shoes look kind of funky, and some of them are stylish, but these just look like normal traditional tennis shoes. But these are called basketball shoes. But there's nothing compared to other basketball shoes that have certain designs and things put in them specifically made for basketball. This doesn't have any of that. It's just really an Air Force One marketed as a basketball shoe.
So it's an Air Force One then?
It's a basketball shoe.
But it's an Air Force One though. It is an Air Force One. Even though they market it as Michael Jordan shoes, from what you have just said, it is an Air Force One.
Marketed as a basketball shoe, and it's a basketball shoe.
If I get my car and sell it to somebody as a pea shooter, it's still a car.
But that doesn't make any sense because that's not even that don't even make sense. How can it
does
be a pea
make
shooter?
sense. Oh, it's a car, but I said it's a pea shooter, so it's a pea shooter. Because I marketed it as a pea shooter.
Does it fit the criteria of what a pea shooter is?
It doesn't matter. I said it was one, so it is.
But see, Fringy, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying these things fit the criteria of what these things are called. I'm not just saying people are just calling things just to call them.
They also fit the criteria of a PC, yet that doesn't seem to matter.
No. You're right. It does fit the criteria of PC.
Then why can't I just say that it's a PC?
Listen. It does fit the criteria of a PC, but also fits the criteria of a console. You can call it whatever you want. Look.
That stage,
they could have called it a hybrid.
And at that stage, what becomes important now is distinguishing between the two, which is where my points come in.
Fringy, let me ask you this, right? Let me ask you this personal question, right? If you worked at, I don't know, they sell them at Best Buys, Walmarts, and whatnot, right? And they had all the different versions of the Alpha, right? They had the console version, which is called a console, comes with the 360 controller. Then they had the Steam machine one, which looks just like the Alpha one, except for it has like the Steam logo on the side too. Then they have the PC one, which comes with a keyboard, or sometimes it's just the box itself. It don't come with nothing. And someone said, well, what's the difference between all these? The only thing you could really say is, well, the difference is that this comes with the controller, which is geared for if you just want more of an out-of-the-box console experience. This comes with the keyboard if you want more of an out-of-the-box desktop. But they all have the same hardware. They all do the same thing. But those would be the things that distinguish the difference, right?
And now we start to try and distinguish. Oh, well, how is it a console? Is it the same as a PS4 in a lot of the criteria? No. Oh, guess it's a PC because that makes sense.
But the PS4 is not the end-all, be-all, and only console that exists.
Yeah, I know it's not the end-all, be-all, but like most of them are pretty much like that.
Well, I throw this at you, right? Listen, Frankie, you know what the Nintendo Switch is, right? I'm pretty sure you've seen it. That's a home console, but I mean, by all case means, people can look at that and say, "Isn't that just a handheld?" You know why it's a home console? Because Nintendo called it one, and it connects to a display unit. That's it. That's the only reason they can say it. That's all.
Yeah, I know that, but it is. Well, I mean, they can say it's a home console, but it really is a handheld in reality.
But Fringy, I'm gonna say this, right? All right, this is where I'm gonna tell you my opinion, right? So
okay. Yeah.
This is what I'm gonna tell you my opinion, right? I don't care what it's called, personally. If someone came in my house and called my computer a shoebox, I don't care what you call it.
Really?
Damn thing.
You wouldn't find them to be a stupid person?
I would probably find it to be silly. I don't take stuff that serious. Where like, if someone called my computer a shoebox, I wouldn't take them serious anyway, Fringy. So I wouldn't get mad about it and call them stupid or nothing, or think they're stupid. I just think they're being silly. But I don't care what things are called because that's irrelevant. As long as they do what I want them to do. Hell, you can call the Alienware Alpha, as you said, a pea shooter. I don't care what you call it. If it's
irrelevant, then why has this debate even happened?
Because
if it's irrelevant,
Fringy,
then why do you care?
Fringy. First of all, me caring, what I care about is this, right? I like to learn. And what I did was, because I enjoy gaming and I enjoy watching the history of gaming and playing games, when I started to learn the history of gaming and learn where this term console came from and realize that all it is they just took computers and just marketed them as something different. But
they were different, though. They were different.
No. 9 times that, there's a lot. If you look back at Atari's history, do you know how many of their home consoles was just the computer, but they just called it the home console? They did that a lot. It was the same thing, and they did the same thing.
So it was a computer.
There was no difference.
It was just a PC.
Well, they're all computers, Fringy.
Right, but it was a PC, was it? Was it a PC then?
I say this, Fringy. You're confusing me by saying it's a PC because didn't you say a PC has to run Windows or something? I don't. A PC is just a personal computer. Hell, someone could say a Mac is a personal computer. I mean, that's confusing me. So
A
I
Mac
don't know
is a
what you
Mac.
mean.
A PC is a PC. They're not the same. In
Linux,
any conversation,
based?
people distinguish between a Mac and a PC. I have
No,
never
what I'm
seen.
saying,
I have never seen someone call a Mac a PC.
but Frankie, you never heard anyone say in general terms, right? I'm not talking about that for definition. We talking about that's something different. I'm talking about in general terms. When people say personal computer, they just mean this is my computer. Normally, that's just what they mean. You understand what I'm saying? Regardless of what OS is running, they say that. People just generally say this is my personal computer.
Yeah, I know, but
that's
when we're talking about PCs and consoles in the gaming context, a PC is something that runs Windows usually. Like, at least when we're talking about it, at least when we're talking about it now, that's what it is. Maybe it was different. When I say usually, I'm taking into account that maybe it was different 30 or 40 years ago, but we're talking about right now. And right now, there is a distinction to be made between a PC and a console.
Since it was different 30 or 40 years ago, if that difference popped up today, does that mean, what would those be called then? Are they still not personal computers?
Then that's when it becomes a situation where we have to start thinking about it. The whole point of not relying on a definition is because things change, and you need to take into consideration what's going on in reality. And the reality is that the Alienware Alpha is the same as a PC because it is literally a PC. It is functionally identical to my desktop. Whereas my console, my PS4, is not. It is not even remotely the same as my PC, aside from the fact that they're both fundamentally computers. When it comes to the gaming aspect, there are so many differences in the way that they're designed, in the way that they work, in the way that they're manufactured, distributed, and the money is generated. The games, the way that they run on them, are not the same. They are not the same thing.
I'm not saying they're the same, Frank. I think that's what we're missing. A console can be different from another console, but it doesn't mean it's not a console.
But they it's just like a running similar recurring elements.
If we go back to the, I'd say this to you right here, Frankie. Right? We're very two different people, but we're still people.
Right, but that's not the same here, because to be a human being, you have to be a Homo sapien. We're both Homo sapiens. We think differently.
Can't be a console, and the PS4 can't be a console, and they both be totally different.
Because there are some pretty big differences between them in the way that they fundamentally work. We think differently, but we're still both people in terms of our anatomy. Whereas
in terms of our anatomy, but at the same time, but to apply that to the consoles, right? They're still computers.
Yeah, they're all computers, right? But there are differences between the computers.
That'd be the equivalent to our anatomies.
No.
That'd be equivalent to that.
No.
Why not?
Because no, it wouldn't. Because what I'm trying to say is, like, if we're trying to distinguish between a PC and a console, you could look at it in two ways. One, they are so different in the way that they are designed and how they work that they're not the same. Or if we're going to say they're all computers, then there's a difference between a PC and a PS4 in the same way that people of different ethnicities are different. The differences exist.
I don't see why
they're all computers, but they're different in some way. How important you feel that is potentially doesn't matter, but they're different. And a PC and a console are different.
What I'm saying is that the Alpha is a console, right? I gave you my reasons why, right? I gave you not even really just my reasons. I gave you the facts behind.
No, you gave me definitions.
Right? And definitions.
And definitions are not facts. They're definitions. They're just the things that people.
So what are facts, Fringy?
When we're talking about facts, we're not just talking about bringing up a definition of a word and then saying, that's my argument. We're talking about actually taking into consideration what happens in the real world.
Which I said, can I say it's a fact that's the
You
Webster
can say for a fact that that's the definition, but you can't say, therefore everything is a console. The only fact about a definition is that it is the definition. That's the only fact.
I gave you the facts of the console, right? I also, and if you need me to go tell you where I saw this stuff at, the documentaries that they did this on, I can also give you the names of those, and so you can watch them if you feel like it. But I can also show you where I understood and read about the history of consoles and where the term came from and all that, stuff. But the things that I'm saying are, you know, it's not based upon my outline, because when I looked at things, you know, just by looking at them, I would have said the same thing you were saying. Oh, the alpha is just
it's not just looking at them. I've explained to you the reasons why. It's not just some surface level bullshit. I'm explaining it to you.
Well, I mean, it is very surface level.
How is it surface level? I'm explaining the differences between them.
No, you're explaining them, but it's still surface level, Fringy.
How? How is it surface level to talk about the way that they are designed to run?
On the surface, Fringy, because on the surface, we understand that consoles are restricted. The console manufacturer gets a fee off of the developers.
That's not surface level. A lot of people don't know this shit.
Yeah, a lot of the average consumer don't. But I'm talking about, that's why I said me and you understand that.
You reckon? Because there are people I've talked to who don't know this stuff.
But Fringy, I said me and you.
And therefore it's surface level to bring up the reasons why.
I was talking about me and you, though. That's the context. I was talking about me and you.
And yet I can't just say it's surface level to say, here's what the dictionary says, therefore I'm right.
Hold on, you say you can't say that?
The thing is that what I'm trying to hammer home is that really, when you break it down, your argument is the dictionary says this, therefore I'm right.
No, it wasn't just the dictionary. It's also if you look at the history and understand it and see that there's
when I bring up all of the facts about now, you bring up history, I bring up what happens now. Yours are facts, mine aren't.
Fringy, if you look up all the consoles I just named and how they pretty much was the equivalent of what an alpha would be today, but yet they were still home consoles and no one argued.
They weren't though, were they? They
were home consoles. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They were.
Why?
That's what they were sold at. No, because again, it felt the criteria and they sold them as that. That's it, Fringy. That's all.
They fit the criteria of the dictionary of the definition that you found in a dictionary. Therefore, the Alienware Alpha is a console.
Before all that, remember, Fringy, words are just things created by people in this.
I know they are.
When they decided to tag the name console on a video game machine, they created the meanings. The creators of the devices created the meaning, and they made it simple.
They created the meaning, but then the meaning changes when people use it.
But no.
And you need to take into consideration how they are using the words.
Let me ask you this: when you misuse the meaning of a word, that's just that you're misusing. It's just like, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but where I'm from, we sometimes say girls are bad. That normally means that they look good, or they're highly sexual, or whatever. But that doesn't mean that that's what the word bad means.
I know that's not what the word bad means, but you're creating a new meaning for the word.
But again, that's
and it's not like your meaning is bullshit, especially if a lot of people do it like that, because that's how words change.
Yeah, words do change. But what I'm saying when it comes to this, is what I'm saying about consoles, right? The general people don't really use or care about the term or word video game console to change it. That's why it's been so simple this whole entire time. And until it changes or alters, it's a simple definition. Like you said, it's so broad, it can fit damn near anything.
Which is why it's such a worthless definition. Definitions that are so broad that they can't even be applied properly
you can feel that it's worthless. You can feel that it's worthless, but nonetheless, it doesn't change. That's the definition.
And therefore, the Alienware Alpha is a PC because the definition.
I'm saying therefore the Alienware Alpha is a console.
The Alienware Alpha is a console because the definition says so. Yet when I say the Alienware Alpha is a PC because it runs Windows 10 and it is functionally the same as my PC, that doesn't matter.
I never said you were incorrect. I was just telling you that
you never said I'm incorrect. Then what's the point of this debate?
Fringy, what I said to you was the ones sold to you as a PC are the PCs. The ones sold to you as a consoles are consoles.
Why?
That's what I was.
Because they said so.
Exactly.
Even though in reality they're not consoles because they are PCs.
Fringy, I thought it said right before computers ever existed, right? And you can look up the history of words and where they come from, right? Before the word computer came up, right? Whoever designed the first computer, someone came up with that word, and they gave a meaning to it, right? All words work that way. So, again, that's the definition, Fringy.
But and until it changes, as I have just illustrated with examples, The dictionary definition is not always applicable to reality. Sometimes
now, you said
reality
not
conflicts
always.
to it.
Okay, and you know what, Fringy? I will agree with that, but you said not always, and I agree with that as well.
Of course not always,
but
because in some instances,
this is my opinion. This case, I say it does. That's
right, but I don't think it does. And for the reasons that I have explained,
that's cool.
For the reasons that I have explained that you have dismissed as not facts.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool that you don't feel
like
that way.
I'm fascinated that you don't seem to understand where the frustration is coming in from.
I don't know why you would be so frustrated.
I have explained to you very clearly the differences between a PC and a console. I have explained to you why relying on a dictionary is just, it's not a good debate
and I've also
tactic.
Explained to you that there have been
in spite of all of the reasons that I listed,
sold as consoles that work just like a computer, and yet they were consoles.
And in spite of all of the evidence that I brought up, all of that stuff wasn't fact. Yet when you can point out to stuff in history, that stuff counts. Yet when I point out clear examples of distinctions, that stuff's credible. But if I point out the differences between a PS4, if I point out the differences between a PS4 and my PC that don't even require sources because it's just a factual statement, that doesn't count.
No, I didn't say that didn't count. I'm just saying that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
It counts, but it has nothing to do with the debate.
No, not really. What does your personal computer have to do with anything? It counts,
but it has nothing to do with the debate. But I think it counts.
Fringy, but what you're saying, maybe I'm misunderstanding you. You're saying your personal computer, right, does certain things that the PS4
I'm not just talking about my personal computer. I'm talking about all of the computers that anybody would say, that's a PC.
Well, check this out, Fringy. I'm pretty sure your computer does stuff my computer don't do. Does that mean my computer is not a personal computer?
What do you mean? What does my computer do that yours can't? That you can't do it yourself?
Look, Frankie, let's just give a rundown. What hardware you got on your computer?
That doesn't matter.
Why not?
It doesn't matter.
You may have a different OS than I do. I don't know what you got in your rig.
The PS4 and the PS4 Pro have different components, but they're both PlayStation 4s.
I'm agreeing with you. But what I'm saying to you is this, Frankie, right? You're saying that your computer is different than the PS4, and you listen to the reasons. And I'm saying
it's different
my computer is probably different than your computer.
It is different in such fundamental ways in its design that they're not the same.
Well, I can say fundamental.
While your PC may not be able to do things that my PC can do based on specs, at the end of the day, they're both PCs in the way that they work and then the things that you can do with them. You can download apps like Photoshop and do video... Like and I'll bring it back to the Alienware Alpha. With the Alienware Alpha, you can hook it up to your monitor, install Photoshop, and I've got a Wacom tablet, plug it in and start doing comics and stuff. And it may be labeled as a video game console, but I'm using it like a computer. And yet, in spite of that, and by that logic, you would say, well then, it's a personal computer. Because it is. If I can plug my PS4 into my Wacom tablet and download Photoshop on Windows and start drawing with that shit, then that would make it a personal computer. Because it's
just because you could do that thing.
No, not just because I could do that thing, but because it would show that it has been changed into a PC.
Why? Just because of that one application?
Not because of that one application, but because of all of the shit that you can do on a PC that you can't do on a console. I know I listed one thing, but I could keep listing things like Vegas, Adobe After Effects, Paint, Windows Media Player, Steam, Word, Windows Explorer, Flash, Origin. Do you want me to list every PC application that you can't use on your console because they aren't the same architecture?
But Fringy, I never said that they were the same architecture, and I didn't say any of those things.
What I'm saying is they are different. They're different.
I'm not saying that, Fringy. You're not understanding.
They're so different.
Let me say this clear as day. I'm not saying the Alpha console ain't different than other video game consoles.
Oh, I never said that you said that. All I'm saying is that it is the same as a PC. It's just so obvious.
Okay. Well, so was the Pippin. The Pippin was the same as a Mac at the time. Does it mean it wasn't a home console?
The same as a Mac, which would mean that it was probably a Mac.
No, it was a Pippin console.
I've never used the Pippin, so I can't say it for sure. But if it was the same as a Mac,
you could go look up plenty of videos, and you could go look up plenty of people using it. It was a pimping console.
So
just like the Atari at the time,
even though it was a Mac, because they called it a pimping console, it was a console. Even though you've just told me that it was a Mac. So if I
didn't tell you it was a Mac. I said it was a console.
You said it was a Mac. You said it could be used as a Mac.
I said it could be used as a Mac. I said it was.
But there's a big difference between the Alienware Alpha and the Pippin. There's a big difference between the Alienware Alpha and the Pippin, because the Alienware Alpha is a PC.
Fringy, there's a big difference between saying it could be used as something and that it is something. Right, I didn't say it was. Listen,
but the Alienware Alpha is one.
Right? I'm explaining this to you, right? You know the Pippin, right, that I brought up, right? You know what would make it a Mac?
What would make it a Mac?
If it ran Macintosh and Apple said it was a Mac. That's it.
So
you know what makes the Alienware Alpha console? You know
the context.
Well, I thought it's to you this way, Frankie. Let's for a split second, let's ignore that the Alienware Alpha console exists. Let's just ignore that exists, right?
No, because that's what the debate's about.
No. I get that, but I'm trying to say something to you, right? You know how Alienware has the Alpha gaming desktop, then they have just the Alpha desktop, then they have the Alpha Steam machine, and they also have the Alpha console, right? But is it kind of two of those things, the Alpha gaming desktop and the desktop, seeing as they got the same hardware? What is really the difference?
They're PCs.
No, I'm not talking about that.
The difference is that they decided to name them differently.
Okay,
but they're the same.
It's the same with the console. Okay,
no, it's not, because there's difference between consoles and a PC.
The same with the console.
Again, to bring it back to the whole Pippin thing, you've made it pretty clear that there is a difference, because you keep saying that the Pippin can be used as a Mac, whereas the Alienware Alpha is a PC.
I mean, you can use it as a PC if you want to.
No, but
you don't have to.
The Alienware Alpha is a PC.
But you don't have to use it as one.
You can use in a similar way.
I can use my PSA. Look, I can use my PS4 as I use my PS4.
The fact that you keep saying that you can only use the Pippin as a Mac would indicate that there's something that you're not telling me about the Pippin, because unlike the Pippin, you can. It's not that you can use the Alienware Alpha as a PC. It is one that you can use to play video games.
Not the
it's
Alienware
not that
Alpha
you
console.
can use one. It is one.
Not the Alienware Alpha console.
How?
The Alienware Alpha console can be used as a PC.
No, the Alienware Alpha console is a PC. Because it is...
No, the Alienware Alpha console... Let me just say this real quick, Frankie. You're saying the Alienware Alpha console, the Alienware Alpha video game console, is a PC. Like, you're basically...
Because
it's like you're saying that it's a console, then you're saying it's a PC.
The reason why I keep repeating that it is a PC is because you get the false impression if I say things like it is functionally identical. It's not that it's just functionally identical. It is a PC. By anybody's definition of the word, by anybody who is actually thinking about it properly.
Of the word console, why isn't the Alienware Alpha console a console? By the definition of the word. You just brought the definition of the word, so I'm bringing it back.
When I'm saying by the definition of the word, I'm not talking about the dictionary. I'm just talking about people in real life. When anybody looks at it and would say, yeah, that's a PC.
Let's be real. Fringy, excluding us that know more about gaming and all that stuff, the general definition of a console to most people is, oh, it's a device that plays video games.
No,
do they go any deeper than that? No.
Your mobile phone is a console.
Fringy, the general public. I'm not talking about the people that know about how the manufacturer gets the...
what plays something is a console, then that would mean that my phone is a console, and that they think that.
No, they'll think it's a phone because it's called a phone.
Okay, they think it's a console because it's called a console.
Called a console, and that's why the Alienware Alpha is a console.
No, it's not. Just because they think it doesn't mean... That doesn't mean anything.
And just because you think all those little in-between things that you mentioned about the difference between the PC and the console makes one thing, and one thing not, doesn't mean that's true either.
But it does. It doesn't mean that it doesn't. It's not that it means that it's true. It just means that it's something that is like so important to consider. If I decided to call my phone Jeff, and I thought that he was a person. It's not like my phone is now Jeff the human being, because I thought it.
Yeah, obviously, because as a cell phone and a person.
What do you mean?
Totally
Obviously, I've just explained to you the clear distinctions between the Alienware Alpha and every other console, and yet for some reason that doesn't count.
The difference between a computer, right? Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying I said computer and video game console. The only difference is that this computer, which would be the video game console, was directly created and primarily created to play games. Not that it only plays games, just that was primary function. The Alienware Alpha console is so like that, even though they got other alphas on the market, because they want you to know, the consumer, this alpha is for gaming. Even though it does everything else every other alpha does.
They're all for games.
Not necessarily.
They are.
Because someone... Are they?
The Alienware Alpha was designed for games. All you need to do is look at the descriptions that they have on the Alienware, on all of the Dell websites. That's what they want to sell it as. But that doesn't mean that it's a console.
Designed for games. But the one that's labeled a console specifically, it's to let those people know directly that this is for gaming.
They're all for gaming.
Sure. I'm not saying you're
That's
wrong.
the whole marketing thing.
But I'm not saying you're wrong.
It's not that I'm wrong. I'm right here. They're all marketed to be to play video games.
Okay, that's cool. But this one is letting you know that this is a video game console.
But it's not. It's a PC. It is a PC. In all of the ways that it's usable, it is a PC.
Okay. I mean, if you say so.
It's not if I say so. It's just.
I'm just telling you what Alienware says a console. The definition.
So because the Alienware wants to market it as a console for the sake of making money, it is one, despite all of the facts that show that it is a PC.
Fringy, do you know the full name of the PlayStation?
The PlayStation 4.
No. The PlayStation, like all of their line of systems have this one. Do you know what it's called?
What?
The PlayStation Computer Entertainment System.
Nah, it's called a PlayStation 4.
No, Fringy, I can show you commercials and countless things that they call the PlayStation 4 Computer Entertainment System.
Right, but it's a video game console.
Sure, it is. You're right.
And the reason why is because there are some big differences between the PlayStation computer. What are the differences between the Alienware Alpha and a PC outside of I called it a console?
What are the differences outside of it?
What are the differences between
a PC and an Alienware Alpha? When you hear PC means personal computer, right?
What are the differences between a PC and an Alienware Alpha?
Are you gonna let me
just answer the question?
I was answering it. You cut me off.
What? You're answering the question by starting to again talk about definitions.
Wait a minute. Again. So you're trying to tell me how I should answer
I'm trying to ask you.
Hold on. That doesn't even make sense.
I'm asking you to explain the difference between an Alienware Alpha and a PC by talking about the differences between them and the way that they work.
I'm trying to do that, but you're cutting me off and you're trying to tell me how to answer.
You cut me off so many times in this debate. I can't believe this. You cut me off constantly, you're trying to tell me, and now you're getting in a shit that I'm trying to get you to just answer this question directly.
My tone of voice hasn't changed, Fringy. I haven't yelled at you not one time.
Yeah, I know you haven't.
I haven't said nothing rude to you.
What have I said rude to you at this stage? Have I called you names?
I didn't say you said anything rude to you. I said you've been yelling at me, though.
Am I yelling at you, or am I just talking loudly? Because I'm trying to hammer this point home.
You don't have to yell or talk loudly, as you say, to hammer a point home.
It seems like I do, man. It really does. We've spent the last hour and 50 minutes talking about this, and really, your argument has only been the definition. Right. Therefore, it's a console.
What do you? Are you familiar with I See Rhythms or Fail to Listen?
Nope.
Are you familiar with Rags?
What, you mean like Rags, the YouTuber?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I've had this same discussion with him.
I saw this on Twitter, dude. He said that he didn't have this discussion with you.
Yes, he did.
He said
he's
he didn't.
Lying.
He's lying. You know that he's lying.
I was there, and so was I'm not sure if he was there.
He says he didn't do it.
No. Matter of fact, if you read the comments, he didn't say he didn't. He said he didn't remember.
And yet he's lying.
That's what he said.
He doesn't remember if it happened or not, so he's lying. You said he was lying.
Time out.
So what happened there?
When you said that he said that he wasn't there, right? When you said that, I said that he's lying.
You said that he's lying.
You're not understanding.
And you just
when
said
you
that
told me
he
he
was
said,
mistaken.
Fringy, you're not listening. When you told me he said he wasn't there, I just believed you and said, then he's lying. That's what I said. Then I remembered that's not what he said. Unless he told you that privately. He didn't say that in the chat we had.
I'm pretty sure I saw that on Twitter, dude.
You can go read it back. And I have witnesses to that conversation. It doesn't matter if he remembers or not. But it doesn't even matter that he agrees or not. I'm just saying that another PC gamer has agreed. And plenty of people have agreed. They don't agree at first, obviously. But then after I explain everything, it's nothing else to be said. It's only you're the only person that I guess that's, I mean, it's fine. You're the only person that, like, I guess thinks that the definition has like no weight.
I didn't say the definition has no weight. I just said you have to take into consideration other factors.
Well, this is what we'll do.
Other
I
really
take it in
important factors.
I take all those factors in consideration, the lockdown of the consoles and the traditional things that come with consoles. But I explained to you that there's been so many consoles created that don't follow the traditional trend, but yet they're still
so
consoles.
Many. Like you've listed about 3, maybe, out of dozens.
Okay. Well, no, not just 3. There have been Sega machines. I will have to go look them all back up to tell you the direct names. If you want me to do that, I can do that right now.
No, like we don't need to do that now.
Well, if there's nothing else to be said, because at this point I think we're going in a circle. I've said my piece, you said yours. I thought it was a pretty good discussion. I don't know. I guess we'll let the people decide. But like I said, I brought up my opinion, not my opinions, my facts. And no, I didn't. I brought up the facts. I never even stated my opinion. The only opinion I stated was I don't care what it's called. That's the opinion I brought up. That's it. Everything else, Webster. Go talk to Webster about the definition, not me. I just brought it to your attention. I didn't create that up. I didn't make that up. I didn't make up the history.
I didn't make up the stuff that I brought up either. But
I didn't say you did.
I didn't
say you did. I was just explaining to you that those things
don't
that
count.
You see. No, I didn't say they don't count. I'm just saying they don't have to deal with what a console is.
So they don't count then. That's
to this discussion, but they don't count for. I'm not saying they don't count for nothing, Fringy. I'm just saying in this discussion they don't apply.
They matter, but they don't apply in a discussion where you're trying to distinguish between a PC and a console.
Well, I wasn't trying to distinguish. I'm just telling you Alienware Alpha is a console.
How can you even be talking about the differences between a personal computer and a console if you're not trying to distinguish between a console and a PC?
I wasn't trying to distinguish the differences.
That is the whole point of this debate, is to try and distinguish the difference. My point was to tell you. Because if not, you've started from an entirely different position.
I told you the Alienware Alpha was a console, and I told you why it was a console. That was it. Now, the distinguish between what a console and a PC is, I already explained to you that really it's not that big of a, it's really no difference other than if you made a computer that its primary function was to play video games, you could call that a video game console. It's nothing.
And therefore, there are no PC exclusives. Every PC game is on consoles.
Well, I'll just say this, Fringy, because it sounds
that's
like in a
how
minute
this started.
Well, Fringy, it sounds like in a minute we're going to end it. I just want to ask you this. Personally, I mean, do you really even care if every what difference does that make if it's all on a console?
Do you care because you started it?
No.
You started it. You made the video.
I don't care. I would love for there to be no games only on one device ever again.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you started it. You clearly cared to some degree.
You
made a video about it, which means you have some investment in figuring
Care about what, though?
What do you mean care about it? You clearly care about the topic to some degree. Otherwise, you wouldn't have brought it up.
No, care about what? You're saying I care about something.
I just told you cared about this whole topic, and that there are games on console that are PC games. Clearly, because you made the video to begin with.
You said I care about the topic. I didn't say I cared about the topic.
I know you didn't say you cared about the topic, but you wouldn't have made a video if you didn't. You wouldn't have made a video if you didn't.
That's anecdotal.
It's not anecdotal. It's just basic interpretation.
That's you trying to put things together.
It's basic interpretation. It's basic interpretation.
Well, your basic interpretation is incorrect. I'm just
it's not incorrect. Because if you didn't want to talk about it, you wouldn't.
How is it not incorrect? But
if you didn't care about the topic, when you saw that part in the video, you wouldn't have. You would have. If you saw that part in the video and you didn't care, you would have gone, "Huh, I don't care."
Fringy.
Because that's what people do when they don't care.
You're talking to the person that brought it up, and I'm trying to tell you, I don't care about the topic.
You don't care about the topic, but you wanted to have a debate on it, and you asked me to have this debate the second response you did. I said, nah, it's a PC. Okay. Then you said, want a debate. That's not someone who doesn't care about the topic.
You said I was trolling.
No, I said you were stretching. I said either you were trolling or you were stretching.
Okay, I'm telling you what you said. You said I was trolling.
I said you were either trolling or stretching.
Okay, Fringy, why do you keep repeating that? Oh,
because
right, I'm saying
then you said, yeah, I said you're trolling. I didn't. I said you were either trolling or stretching. I've literally repeated this to you, and
wait a minute, Fringy.
A second later, you're like, "No, you said you were trolling."
Fringy, on Twitter, you said I was trolling.
I said either you were trolling or stretching,
and I said okay.
And in response to that,
I said okay.
Okay, you said I'm trolling.
Okay. It's like we're just saying the same thing twice.
Yeah,
you said you're trolling.
I know what the tweet was.
You said you're trolling, you're stretching.
I said okay, you were trolling and stretching, and then you said, yeah, you're trolling. You just completely neglected the fact that I said that this might be your earnest opinion.
What?
You completely neglected the fact that I said that what your video was might be earnest.
I don't think you comprehended. I'm not saying. No, Fringy. See, I'm not painting you to as like some guy that just calling me a troll. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm just telling you what happened, because the first thing you said was you said something about some PC stuff on Twitter, and then I asked you for that. I was just trying to clarify that's not what first happened. You first brought up that I was trolling, and as you also said, I was stretching.
I didn't. Right? No, I said you were either trolling or stretching. It means it could be one or the other.
Oh, Fringy, you're not comprehending.
I am comprehending. You said that I said that you were trolling and stretching.
Fringy, do you understand that the first thing you said was this debate started because the second you brought up something about it being a PC, that's when I asked for a debate. That's when I corrected you. That's the only reason I even said any of those things I just said.
Debate isn't correcting me. It's showing that you wanted to talk about this.
Fringy, listen. You said on Twitter, you brought up that it was a PC, and then you said that's when I asked for the debate. I was just saying, no, that's not when I asked for it. I asked for it before that, and that's when you said I was strolling and or stretching.
You didn't ask for it before that. You made the video.
Fringy, it's on Twitter.
No,
I asked for a debate on Twitter before you made it. No, Fringy asked for a debate on Twitter.
I don't recall that at all.
Fringy, I got the tweet right here. What are you talking about?
I asked for a debate. Read the tweet.
Hold on. Let me go back to it, because a lot of people have been tweeting me because of the debate stuff. I gotta delete people because they keep sending bullshit. Let's see. Scroll all the way down. Let me see.
Look, dude.
I'm still going. Hold on, calm down, man. I'm still going down. Yeah, I told you a lot of people were tweeting.
I'm just. Like, it's just taken a while to find something that's so
obvious. I haven't left the call, Fringy. I'm still in here. I'm gonna tell you in a second once I find it.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. This is what you said. You said, I'm guessing this is trolling. If not, then this guy ought to his enlist in the international stretching competition.
Mm-hmm.
And I said under that, want to debate.
Right. Like I said.
That was the first time I asked for a debate.
I know it was the first time. I'm saying that you did it immediately after I brought it up. I immediately responded, and you were like, want to debate.
No, but Fringy, what you said was when you brought up that it was a PC, that's when I asked for debate. And all I said was, not when I brought.
No, what I was trying to get across, what I was getting across was that it's clear that you were eager to talk about this, and if you're eager to talk about something that you don't care about, that just doesn't make any sense. I don't talk
No,
about
you're
the things
assuming
I don't care about.
No, I care about something, but you're assuming it's the topic.
What is it then?
I mean, I don't have to share that with you.
Really? We spent 2 hours talking about this, and you don't even want to tell me why you wanted to have this debate.
We weren't talking about nothing serious, Fringy. Talking about damn video games.
Talking about something serious. I didn't say it was serious. It's just that
I didn't say you did say that, Fringy.
You've been talking about it for 2 hours. Like, surely you could explain why you would want to have this debate.
Why would I want to have this debate? Well, it's not for the
when
reason
you wanted to do it.
It's not about the reason you mentioned, which is that I care about the topic.
You don't care about the topic that you wanted to debate about.
No.
Because, you know, when I don't care about something, I never talk about it.
Well, we're not the same person.
Care. Because
we're not the same person. You also don't know.
Means to have no interest in something. If we want to start talking about definitions of words,
now we're bringing up definitions. Now we're bringing up definitions.
Right, but there's a difference between talking about like a console in applying it in a context and what the word means. It's like the word "the." There's no point even arguing about what it means.
If it goes to the discussion we're having, sure. If we were arguing about what the word "the" meant, then shouldn't me bringing up the definition make sense?
Yeah, all right. I think we're going to end this now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. Thanks for having the debate anyway.
All right.
If you guys could see my face. Wow.